We'll just continue to monitor as people enter, and it is 2 o'clock, so I say let's go ahead and get started.
That sounds great.
Woohoo.
Okay, welcome everybody. We are going to head and get started with our webinar today. I'm just going to quickly introduce Laurie Hochman. She is here from Auctria. We are so excited to have her. This has been a very great topic that I'm super excited to learn more about. Take it away.
What's better than a Wednesday than a webinar Wednesday, right, Carly?
Yeah.
It is my pleasure to spend a little bit of time with you and your people that have registered. If you're watching this on playback or if you're watching it live, happy to answer any questions. I could go on and on for hours and hours, but I will respect your time and keep it as close as I can to 45 minutes here. And then happy to answer any questions as we go along or at the end also. So like Carly said, my name is Laurie Hochman. I am the marketing director over at Auctria, and I've been here since 2009 working with the platform and over at Auctria as employee since 2015. So I have been on both sides of it for many, many years, running auction and event fundraisers, volunteering, as well as talking to all sorts of wonderful people like you. So thank you for introducing us to all your friends, Carly, here at Memory Fox. Auctria has been around, like I said, since 2011. 50,000 auction and event fundraisers have run through the platform, and they've raised well over $500 million. And if you see your icon on there, give me a wave or a hello in the chat. Tell me geographically where you're tuning in from, if possible, and what kind of organization that you are fundraising for. If you have that and you want to drop it into the chat, I love to see it. Usually we go coast to coast. I'm in sunny, well, not so sunny South Florida right this second. So hello from South Florida. And here we go, San Diego, straight across the continental US here. Looks like Frederick, Maryland, Rochester, New York. Awesome. Go ahead and continue to drop that in there. I find that some people find some friends in these chats sometimes. They find people that are local or people that are doing something similar to them. So this is just a quick overview of just a small smattering of some of the Auctria clients and people that have used the Auctria platform and have given us permission to use their logo. So thank you to all of these great individuals. This is what our agenda looks like today. So I brought along 4 concepts. I have 3 tips and tasks. I have 2 real life examples and a downloadable document. We're going to talk about choosing the right event fundraiser for you. Event and auction revenue boosters. We want to push those income as high as we can. We're going to talk about plan, run, close, and then boosting some engagement for the event fundraiser. Like I said, please feel free to stop me, ask any questions, but we'll go ahead and power through here. So people ask me all the time, which kind of plan of event fundraiser do we choose? And I'm going to answer that, but I want you to keep in mind, it all depends on your time and your human resources. How much time do you have to pull this off? How much time do you have where your guests will participate? And then what are the human resources that you have internally, or if you have to go externally, what's that going to look like? So we're going to define a couple of these and bring along some examples for some inspiration. So let's go ahead and first talk about the pros and the cons and types of auction and event fundraisers. I put them into 2 big buckets. For event-based, meaning it's at a location. People are going to eat, drink, dine, bid, raise a paddle. They're going to be in a location together, socializing. Could be a special event, but you need to attract people to that special event so that they show up. For that sort of event, you need lead time and planning for the auction and the event fundraising, but also you need lead time for planning for the party and all the activities that go along with it. You may have a highly attended event that you already have. For instance, if you're a school and you have back to school orientation night already, and you just want to add on a little fundraiser to that, that's a great way to do it because they're already coming in already. You don't have to reinvent something. However, if you want to have something that's completely separate, a gala, a party, that's awesome too. The other way to do it is online hybrid-ish. Hybrid is such an overused term right now, but you could do your auction and your fundraiser online, and then hybrid where it could be in the room as well as out of the room. The benefit to running your event as an online, your audience reach can be much broader. So people can participate from in the room, on the couch, at the baseball field, watching their favorite team or watching their favorite kid play baseball. The thing that you have to worry about for your online auctions is you have to distribute the items after the auction. So you want to have a plan in place for that. And then use the event to tell your story. Says, does this sound familiar? Memory Fox is always telling you, tell your story, and engage supporters, because this is your stage for your online auction, your event website. I'm going to get into that a little more. So here's some pros and some tips for choosing a silent event. So if you're doing a silent event or an in-person event, like I said, you have to have a special event and attract your supporters. And you want to attract both the old as well as the new. So you got to find a balance there. Maybe you want to have a chance to celebrate the success in person in a much broader and a much more public way. And you want it to be fun and social. You want people to show up with a smile. You want them to show up happy, because happy people open their wallets and donate and give. The cons is now you have to plan an event on top of a fundraiser. Food, entertainment, how are we going to fill the time? Are we going to have an MC? Are we going to have an auctioneer? All that stuff that goes on top of it. And then what kind of lead time do you have, and will people show up? So those are the pros and cons and the things to think about. Here are the pros and cons for an online only auction. The pros: you can reach a much broader audience, potentially anybody that has an internet access, right? But you know, that tends to be a little more passive also for people. But everything's open 24 hours a day. They don't have to come during those 2-3 hours where your event is. You can have it open 24 hours a day, and you can have it open for multiple days. They do have less work involved. The pros is you still have your website. You can show and tell your story. There's some online bidding activities you can set up. You can set up a max bid, a bid extension, notifications. There's some really cool tools and tips that you can do. And then they have to register. We have to know who they are. Otherwise, people are just bidding randomly. So they do have to register, but that would be the same as an in-person event. You'd have to know who's coming. The cons to an online only is there's no RSVPs and no socializing. Now, during COVID, people were running virtual events in combination with their online, and I still see a few of those that are still going on, and that is an option for you. It is just another layer of work, though. There is fluctuations in activities, so don't be nervous for your online auction if things go up and down and slow down for a little while. It's okay. There's kind of a when your online auction opens, there's a frenzy of activity, and there's a lot of bids and a lot of people talking about it, and then it slows down for a little bit. It's almost like an inverse bell curve, and then at the end it goes crazy. People are bidding like nuts. They're getting in there at the last minute. Your registrations will even blow up at the end, so don't get nervous. Know that that's pretty typical. And then of course you're going to have to distribute the auction items at the end of that activity. Okay, so if you're doing hybrid, what I'm defining as now is an in-person event where you have your online bidding. And these are fun too, because then people can bid outside the room as well as inside the room. But you want to give the people that show up a reason to show up. Are there going to be exclusive items that are there? Is it going to be some sort of speaker presentation? They'll get to mingle and bid and buy and donate. You want to be able to use mobile bidding and QR codes. You want to give them quick access to getting into the activities. The best part about having an in-person event is you have your live appeals. You can connect with the audience. You can talk to people. You can reach out and have eye-to-eye conversation, one-on-one conversations. That small talk and networking and thanking is so incredibly vital to maintaining those relationships. The cons are people find ways not to show up to stuff. They're split amongst all sorts of activities, and if it's not convenient, if they don't show up, then you know, you can't do those things that we talked about. But with the hybrid, they do have the online portion, and they can still run that. And then once the bidding is over, there's no additional interactions for those that are online only. But that's okay. It's okay. I'm giving you permission. It's okay. So I brought along a couple examples. And so on the left, you'll see this is Lift for Autism. They do an amazing job reaching out. They do an online only auction. I think their first auction was around $18,000, $19,000, $20,000. You see they're hitting $133,000. I think they're 4 years, 5 years into running their auctions. They start small, they can grow. Lift for Autism is romance authors, readers, and bloggers. And the romance authors all rally around and they donate their books. You can get a character named after you. Some of them are signed books. Some of them are you can help with a plot, all sorts of things they offer, and it's all for autism. And they do an incredible job in getting the word out on social media. They are absolute mavens when it comes to Twitter. They tag their authors, they're giving the authors their information so that they can share it out there, and they absolutely maximize the online capacity. On the right is your typical school. I'm sure you've seen a bulletin board like this in some of your schools. This is an in-person event. They've called it Bids for Kids, and this is the elementary school. And they want people to show up. They want to socialize. They want to have fun. They post up their auction information, some of the items that are up for bid, what time to show up. And that's where the parents are doing pickup. That's where the students are coming by for lunch every day and trying to get people to show up to their event. So here's another example of an in real life example. So this is Whispering Grace, Hoedown for Hope. And this group does an incredible job on their sponsorships. If you don't have sponsorships, you're leaving money on the table, and you can start small, I guarantee it. I have a whole webinar just on sponsorships, but they do a lot of activities there at the Hoedown, and people look forward to seeing this gorgeous layout of their events. They have the Bays of Hail there where you can kind of take pictures. It's very, Instagrammy-ish. They have a similar setup on the side, and then they do activities where they fold the flag, and they do a flag folding, and it's all part of their agenda. They've got a whole set of activities that they want people to participate in when they're there, and then they have the Hoedown, and it's a lot of fun, and people show up year after year after year for their Hoedown for Hope, and in fact they sell out regularly. So let's talk about auction and event enhancers. So ideally, if you are running your auction and event, you're doing everything from start to finish all on the same platform. And of course, I'm here to hype up Auctria, but for your auction and event, you definitely want to have a ticket so that people can purchase that ticket. And there's a lot of different ways you can do tickets. You can do an early bird ticket. You can do full tables. If somebody comes in and they're willing to buy a full table of 8 or 10, sure, I'll take that money versus over all the singles. What can you bulk up? There's a reason Costco sells you a gigantic thing of paper towels, right? They want you to buy all the paper towels at the same time. So that is your full tables. Sponsorships are a great revenue booster. You're working with businesses that are local. Do they want to sponsor? How are they going to be recognized in the catalog? Are they going to be recognized on your website? The sponsorships, you can probably make just as much money on your sponsorships as well as your regular ticketed events. I usually see about a third of the money comes in on tickets, a third of it on sponsorships, a third of it on auction, and then another third. Now I'm at 4/3. Yes, I realize that, for your paddle raise and your donations. And then VIP anything sells. You put a VIP in front of anything, I guarantee that it sells. VIP drink, VIP parking, VIP seating. And it doesn't just have to be for the event. It can be for other events that you're doing down the line. If you're a school, VIP access to early graduation or the ceremonies for whatever you guys are working on, or the spelling bee. If you are not a school and you are an animal shelter, VIP access to seeing behind the scenes, things that are unique, something that is special, will be priceless. And then you can put that price as high as you want. And then pre-sale. I love pre-sale. The more you pre-sale, the better off you are, because if I pre-sell my drink tickets and I pre-sell my raffle tickets and I pre-sell my dessert dash tickets, then people have already paid for that. They paid for it weeks in advance, maybe sometimes months in advance. Then when they come into the room, they're there to just have fun. And in their mind, they've already paid for that. So now they're starting out at ground zero and they're willing to open those wallets and pay for additional raffle tickets, for a paddle raise, for their auction items. So if you can pre-sale that, then you start off nice and fresh and they're like, oh, I'm at a zero balance. I want to do some more giving. Okay, so here's some more revenue accelerators. I told you I'm bringing the goods today. So have your auction items at all price points. Have them low, have them high. Don't worry about starting that cheesecake gift certificate that you got for $250 at $10. It's not going to sell at 10. People are going to bid that up no matter what. But between the $10 and the $250, which will probably be even higher, you'll have more people that are bidding, more people that are registering, more people that are engaging, and then they will be outbid. They'll get notifications that they've been outbid, and they'll come back to the page, or they'll come back to the silent auction and they'll want to see more. So don't be too worried about starting something too low, especially if it has a really good retail value and something that everybody wants. Raffles are great as long as your area is okay with raffles. Check your local surroundings for any sort of regulations. Check your bylaws also. Jumbo raffles do really good. I brought an example of that. Anything that you can gamify. Gamifying just takes the dollars and makes it fun for people. We have organizations that they do the raffles and then they spin them on a wheel. We have another group that takes the tickets and then they run a little horse race across the screen. The balloon pop, I see somebody asked about the balloon pop. That's really cool. So it's kind of like when you were a little kid and you were at the carnival and they put the balloons all on the wall and then they actually purchase little darts. And if they throw the balloon pop and it pops it, some of them have gift cards behind of it. Some of them have, free chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A, and the values range. So it's a risk. It's kind of like a wine pull. Some of the wines are $10 bottles of wine. Some of them are $50 bottles of wines, but you're selling that at 20. So you're probably going to make money. The one or two people that win the super awesome wine bottle are going to be super thrilled. And the other people are still going to get a great bottle of wine. Specialty drinks. Let me tell you, you put a little umbrella in something, people will buy it. Specialty drinks, tables, parking, access, early access, late access. There's so many different ways that you can boost your revenue. Okay, so I mentioned this a little earlier before. I was talking about your online auction accelerator. So if you're running an online auction, you can do a max bid where somebody says, you know what, this is worth $4,000. I'm willing to spend up to $4,000, but the system or the bid is currently at $2,000, but I'm willing to spend the $4,000. So you can set the system so that you can max bid at $4,000, but it will only go up when you get outbid. That way, for the bidder, it keeps it to the lowest amount possible, but you don't have to babysit your bid. So that's a max bid situation, which is an awesome online accelerator. Okay, I talked about the jumbo raffle also. These are so good. And it's so easy to do with an Amazon gift card. So here's an example of an organization, and they did a raffle for a $500 Amazon gift card, and they only sold 100 tickets. So they sold the tickets for 100 tickets for $25, so it was $2,500. The gift card was for $500, so they netted $2K just like that. And the best part about these, if you put these up early, if it sells out, you can spin up a second one real quick, and that way there's a second raffle that's going on. Sometimes some groups think maybe the 500 is a little too steep. You can lower that down, do a $250, $10 tickets, 100 tickets is $1,000 revenue, and you net $750. Yeah, totally. You can absolutely do a second one. As long as you're going to go ahead online and buy it anyway and send it over to the person, it makes it so easy. Okay, so this is an example of a wine and whiskey wall. Sometimes people cover them up so that it's a blind grab, and sometimes people just put them up on a beautiful table like this and sell them. So this is, oh, I see there's a note on here, could even offer a matching one that is gifted to a program participant. Absolutely, that's beautiful. I love that. That makes my heart throb. So this is another example where you want to give people a reason to come to your website. You want to work with your ambassadors. This was a peer-to-peer event and auction that was happening, and they had an auction, but they also had a peer-to-peer section, and they had ambassadors that said, hey, I love this cause. I want to go out and ask people to raise money for me. So in this situation, they set it up in the system. They put the profile up. The person says, why do they support? In this case, it was Potlatch. It was a native-led and support native artists, initiatives, and nonprofits. And people can go ahead and donate. And when they donate under this person's profile, it shows up just as the thermometer under that person. So there's a little bit of competition. I've seen this, there's currently an event going on right now for a chili cook-off. And it's kind of like this, not as serious as Potlatch Fun. But it's a chili kickoff, and it's 3 different chili places. They're going head to head against each other, and their thermometers are going like this, and it's up and down right now. And it's a whole lot of fun, but it gets people involved, and they feel like they're participating, and they feel like they're making a difference at the end of the day because it's all going to charity. So here's a follow-up of another one that looks like a virtual ambassador. This is a donation page. And when you have images on your website that are specific to your organization, and I know Carly will talk about this with videos also, it makes such an impact that people will click, and they will click the button, and they do want to participate and donate. Okay, so that's a big overview on how do I choose which auction and how do I do it. So the logistics behind that is you're going to plan your auction, you're going to run your auction, and you're going to close your auction from the admin side. The guests are going to register, bid, and win. Because the purpose of your event fundraiser is twofold. You want to raise money, but you also want to raise awareness. And it's both of those that you want to accomplish. So like I was saying, first you're going to plan your auction, then you're going to run your auction, and then you're going to close. Planning is deciding when and how you're going to run it. Running it is actually running the auction, sending people to your website or coming to the party, and then closing it out. You want to have that streamlined through a provider where you can automatically batch close out people. People can close themselves out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, things along those lines. And you want to close that loop. You want to tell people where their money went, how it's making an impact. So let me just take a quick look here. So we have all sorts of features to streamline your fundraising with Auctria. On the left is your event website, and on the right is your dashboard. And on the left, you'll see this GIF is kind of running through. This is the best part. There's so many best parts, but you want to use a platform. Obviously, I like Auctria, that you can make your website look like yours. It never says powered by Auctria anywhere. Every single one of them looks different. Your colors, your logo, your font. And of course, the most important part is your videos so that you can show the impact, the testimonials as to what's going on. And then you want a nice streamlined dashboard that you can manage all that. So your bidders, your guests, your participants, first they're going to register, then they're going to bid, and then they're going to win. So with bidding, it can be in person with paper and pen, or it can be in person with a QR code and a scan, or exclusively online. There's so many ors. It's hard for me to say to you which one's the best for you. Like I said, you need to figure out what kind of capacity you have, who will show up, that sort of thing. You can buy things on your event website. Like I said, once you put it on your website, those cash registers are open 24 hours a day. So sell sponsorships on your website and recognize them on your website. You can put up your gold, your silver, your bronze. Hoedown for Hope, I think they use a lot of equestrian type names for their sponsorships. If you're not doing sponsorships, I ask you to take a look at that again and incorporate that. Admission tickets, you can sell your admission tickets on the system, add it to cart, you can put in guests, you can do your table of 8, you can sell your raffle tickets online. The more you can send people to one central location, then they're registered, and then you can communicate with them so much easier. You know who's interested, you know who's going to participate. And then donations are super easy with the Auctria platform also. And you want your donation page to look nice. I've put a generic thank you on here, but go ahead and put up a thank you image that really relates to your organization. Are you, sheltering the animals? Are you feeding the hungry? Are you educating the students? Make that image impactful so that people know when they click that button, that's where those dollars are going. And then once your auction ends, people get a notification. Oh, I won, congratulations. They click the big checkout button, and then they can easily click to pay by go ahead and on a desktop on the right, they would click the pay now button. If they're on their phone, they can click the Apple Pay button, double click on the right-hand side of their phone, be paid, and move on. So, okay, you ran the auction, you created all this fun, but people always ask us, how do we get people to participate? How do we have engagement? And here's a couple tips that I'm bringing along to share with you from my experiences. Engagement tip number 1 is branding your event. And that is everything from your event website to your donation letter to your social media images. You want to build the marquee event within your organization, and you also want to build a marquee event within a wider community. I had shown you Bids for Kids, the bulletin board that the school had used. They've used that name for years, probably 10 plus years, Bids for Kids, and they have a cute little logo that they have. When you go out to any of the local areas and you ask for a donation, they're like, oh, yeah, we know Bids for Kids, because it's recognizable within the wider community. And let's talk about donors. Donors beget donors, and attendees beget attendees, and volunteers beget volunteers, and sponsors beget sponsors. They really do. If you have a donor,
Zach's not going to join us next season.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so.
Okay. So the donors that are happy and they're giving to you because they want to support your cause, they'll tell other donors. Attendees will bring friends along. People that are volunteering and they're having fun at your event and enjoy volunteering, they'll bring friends along. So it spirals and it becomes bigger and it becomes happier and it becomes wider. Carly says, at my last job, we used to contact the local marketing firms and ask if they had interns who wanted to help. They always came. That's so great, with awesome designs. I love that. That's a great way. Students are incredibly creative, interns for sure. And it's nice to get some fresh eyes on stuff. I love that. And then for promotion, I want you to start early with a save the date, and I want you to use your regular communication channels. If you're a school and you robocall every Friday, or your principal does, then use that regular communication channel. Don't try to start something new and hope that people will follow you over there. If they're all on Facebook and they're all hanging out on there, don't go over to Twitter or Threads or whatever else is going on. You want to go where those people are already, because you want to be able to amplify that really quickly. And then you want to send people to your website. And I bolded this so you pay attention when there is action to take. So don't say, oh, look, we're working on our website. Take a look at it. I mean, you can do that with your friends or your volunteers that you're working with, but you want them to be able to do something. Either bid or buy or donate or purchase a raffle ticket or buy a sponsorship or make a donation, because it's a call to action, right? You want them to be able to do something that is going to promote your event, or bring you money so that you can fundraise higher. And I love tagging and bragging. It's one of my favorite things. You want to tag your sponsors. You want to tag your donors. Thank you so much for donating this gift card to our Bids for Kids auction. We're so thrilled that you were kind enough to donate. Then their audience will see that they've donated to you, and then you're handing it to them on a silver platter. So it's a lot easier for them to go ahead and share it out to their audience. So I love to tag and I love to brag. And then go ahead and schedule out all your messaging. Event fundraisers can take a lot of time. So if you can schedule out your messaging in advance, I highly recommend doing so. Okay, so I brought this example along because I was talking about sponsors, right? Look, they have Microsoft as a sponsor. Not anybody can call it Microsoft and be like, hey, do you want to sponsor our event? They've worked this relationship for a long time. The board members for Foundation for Fighting Blindness, they're in that space. They work with Microsoft. Who's in your space that you work with? Who are your board members connected to? Would those people potentially sponsor? And then give your sponsors a view of what it would look like once they sponsor. Show them how they would look on their website. Those logos will link out to their website also. Make it very tangible that they can participate in your auction and event fundraiser. And go ahead and it's okay to start small. Some people think, you know what, I don't know if I can get a sponsor. Start at $100, start at, a smaller amount. And then as you gain traction, you can do different levels. You can do different levels of giving. The sponsors can really up your bottom line. And then here's a real life example of the energy that's involved. So this is Parasport, and they are out of Spokane, and they make an impact when they walk in or roll in. At their auction and event fundraiser, they use the logo over there to the right for everything. But they participate in their auction event fundraiser. Their Parasport sporting players, what do you call a sports person, the team comes to their actual auction, and they sit down at the tables and they chat and they engage while the event is going on, so people can see right then and there where those dollars are going. It's very impactful. Okay, so I have a question for you. We talked about collateral, and we talked about, putting your images up there. This is the Action Center, and they've been running their auctions and events for a really long time. How many pieces of collateral do you think they create for the life cycle of their event? I'm talking about everything from their save the date, some of their testimonials, their images for social media, their post-event stuff, their thank you that's listed here. Give me a number. Just throw a number out there. Carly gives me a 10. You're a little low, Carly. 80 pieces of collateral. Now, look, they didn't build them all the very first day. They've grown. They know what works and they build on it. They're like, oh, okay, we already have a thank you. Now we're going to do a thank you with a testimonial. Then we're going to do a thank you with a testimonial for Cynthia and Rodriguez. Then we're going to do one for 3 of them because different people connect. So growing from year to year, growing from year to year. And this falls right into the wheelhouse of Memory Fox. Memory Fox makes it so easy to run your testimonials and your videos and really harness the energy of those ambassadors. You can go ahead and grab those videos, put it on your event website, put it on your thank yous, put it in your social media. And I know Carly's going to talk about that a little more. So it's such a great fit between Memory Fox and your auction and event fundraiser. And I would be remiss if I didn't leave without giving you a little gift, and we'll send this out on the email as a follow-up. Our gift to you is a timelines and checklist form. You do not have to reinvent the wheel here. We have an auction planning and timeline with an event and as well with an online only. And then you can go ahead and check off those boxes because it's fun to check off a box when you finish stuff. And then streamline everything with Auctria. We make everything look good, or you make everything look good. You guys are the heroes out there. I appreciate that. And then stay in touch with us. We post regularly to Facebook, Twitter. On Pinterest, we have over 500 pins that go directly to donation request pages if you're looking to fill your auction catalog. We have a Facebook group. Anybody is welcome to join us. It's called Auction Team Talk. We have auctioneers, event planners. Memory Fox, I think, is on there also. And people chime in with questions, and people are very, very nice. It is the nicest group on Facebook. You can always email us hello@auctria.com, and we do weekly demos if you want to take a deeper dive into the Auctria platform. And don't just take our word for it. We're very proud of our 4-point ad out of 5-star reviews that we have between Captira and G2. There's over 500 of them that are out there. And these are people that have run auction and event fundraisers. Like I said, I've been running them for many years as a volunteer, as an auction chair, and then also on behalf of Auctria. So I'd be happy to take any questions. Carly, I know you have some stuff you wanted to share also. If you wanted to do that, we can do that. You tell me how you want to use the rest of the time.
Yeah, thanks so much for all of this. Like, this is like so much good information. I have so many questions. So first, let me just get to what is in the chat. So Celine did ask, do you have any tips on how to keep virtual attendees engaged at an in-person event? So I guess if you're doing hybrid, what are some tips to make sure that those people at home are still engaged?
So keep virtual attendees engaged. So the virtual attendees that are watching an in-person event, do not broadcast your chicken dinner. They don't need to see that. So let's go ahead and start with just the important part. You have to keep it under 45 minutes. Anything longer than that, the virtual attendees will absolutely tune out. You have to have a tight run of show. It needs to be interesting. It needs to be engaging. You want to have people talking. You want to have groups of people talking. You want to have some pre-recorded elements, some live elements. You want to have different views, different colors. There's all sorts of ways to keep it engaged. You know, you look at something like a Saturday Night Live skits, you know, they go in for tight shots, they come out for wide shots. There's large groups of people, singles. So keep the activity moving and keep a variety of it. And then you don't want to focus just on the people in the room and exclude the virtual audience. So if you want to keep the chat running, read back the chat as it's happening. If you want to have, hey, if you put in the chat, you'll be in a raffle, keep them involved so that you can spin a wheel at the end. There's a lot of different ways. Those are just a couple off the top of my head.
I love that. Okay, I have a question. Do you have any, you mentioned about like an auctioneer, having an actual auctioneer. Do you have any tips about how to find a great auctioneer or what makes a great auctioneer at a charity event?
That's a great question. If you come over to Auctria on our partners page, you'll see Memory Fox on there, but you'll also see some auctioneers. So auctioneers, you see them out, selling cattle and cars and things like that. That's not the
I don't
guy
think we
that you
want
want.
those,
That's
right?
not the one you want. You want somebody that has a BAS after their name. It's a benefit auctioneer specialist, and it's a specialized training that they go to that is just for benefit auctions. We have a couple of our favorites that are up on our partners page too.
That's amazing. Okay, I didn't know you could get like a special certification in benefit auctioneering. Now I know what I can do in retirement, maybe.
Your day is complete. You've learned
Wow.
something.
Okay, I do have another question. Um, just from my perspective, I've done several in-person silent auctions before.
Yep.
And I was wondering, this isn't really a question, I guess, as much as a story. Do you have any stories about people who wait the last minute to put in their bid and maybe they won or maybe they lost, or just anything interesting around that?
Absolutely. So, yes, we would close our auctions, red table first, then blue table, then green table. And the ones that the people are hovering around are usually the special keepsakes, or, you get to do something special with the teacher or something like that. And they hover around and they're waiting for you to pick up that piece of paper. And then they're grabbing at it and grabbing at it. And I'm just going to let them go at it, because the more they do, the higher our numbers are going to go. That's why max bid and we have a bid extension online. It just lets the bids continue to go. Those are great. And I'm so glad you asked this question, because a lot of times you have two people going at it for the same item, but you can reproduce that item. You have a second one in your pocket. So if everybody wants to be principal of the day or get to hang out with, coach whatever for a kickball game, you let it go as high as you can. And you're like, principal, would you do a second one for us? And the principal, yes, oh, so now you've sold it twice. So now you've sold it for $3,000 times two. That's always fun. Now you can't do that every year, because then people will be like, well, I'm not going to bid it up. That's going to happen again. So you have to kind of use it strategically, or use it, different times or for different items. That works really well for trips also. If you're doing any sort of consignment trips, sometimes people will be like, stop the bidding. There's 5 people that want to go on this trip. How about if every single one of you goes on it, if you give me an extra $100? Now you've sold the same trip 5 times, a consignment item, you're making that much money. There's a lot of different ways to pull that off. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking it.
I love that. And actually, while you're talking about consignment items, what is your stance on consignment items? Are you for them, against them, pros, cons?
I like to use them as bling, a little bit of jewelry, a nice little necklace. It brings people to the event, but it can also raise a lot of money. It really depends on your audience. And sometimes you just have to try them out. Speaking of jewelry, we have on our partners page, it's called Jewels with a Purpose, and they do kind of fashion jewelry type stuff. And she does an amazing job, and that stuff sells out all the time. And then we've tried for some groups, some big trips work. Sometimes the big trips don't work. You try them out. If it works, you try it again. And if it doesn't, you don't do it.
Right.
You really have to test.
I love that this is interactive, that we can actually kind of talk back to you guys. I'm so used to webinars where you're just watching and not actually being able to speak. A women-to-women mentoring group in our area, what I love, every year they do a Clutch the Future, where it is an online and in-person purse auction. So you've seen purse bingos, things like that. But this is, so they either people may donate something of their own, or they get different donations, and they have hundreds, maybe like 200 purses. This last year was fun because they also got some, just purses from Target. So it wasn't just your Louis Vuitton and your Coach. And
right.
It was everything from a $10 purse all the way up to, $800 to $1,000. And then they mix in that with that kind of auction packages. So trips and things like that too. And some of the higher ones, and they do the purses online too. So you can bid online, and then you can come to the event, see them up close. They can still bid online to a point, then they
Right.
close the online, and it's so cool. But purses, like, and it's like 250 purses.
Isn't that
Big
amazing?
event and DJ, and it's all women empowerment. So
I love that. And you're still talking about it. How incredible.
they do it every year. I love it.
Thank you for sharing that, Carrie. I appreciate that. I love your purple top too, by the way.
Well, does anybody else have anything to add? Okay.
I feel like I do have a lot of
Okay.
questions. I know I would love to talk offline because I just feel like it could go on for a long time.
Lay it
No,
on
go
me. You have
ahead.
something quick you wanted to? Totally fine.
I guess so, because we started doing the hybrid where I put it into the chat, but we start an online auction. We're a choral group, children's choral group. So we have our winter concert and then a big end of the year Christmas concert and downtown Frederick. So we started 2 years ago because of the pandemic. We did completely online. And then this past year we did online. We started it at the winter concert, and then it runs 2 weeks up to the final, and everything is in person. But and people agree, it's very, like, when you're trying to figure out how to engage those who are not at the event, of course, but then the distribution, it's almost like getting over the anxiety of who is going to win this package. And I really hope someone out of state doesn't win this 50-pound package of power tools. We learned from experience to not put shipping on certain items.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But have you run, like, now with doing the hybrid, because everyone is so available to be on their phones and not at the events, as you said, any other tips or tricks to really make it that much more successful?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways you can do it. When you're using Auctria, there's a disclaimer section or a terms and conditions, and I would maximize that. This is shippable. This is not shippable. Or you can set up tags so that items are shippable or not shippable. Then they can go into the catalog and see everything that is shippable, everything that's not shippable. So, the more information you can give people on the front end, the better off they are for sure. So that's the way I would do it. And then we have some groups that do big auctions like that. Like you said, a couple hundred items like the purses and things. And they will have complete separate catalogs because the website is so easy to add pages, manage pages. They'll have a page of shippables and a page of not shippables. So it's very clearly delineated which ones can be picked up at the event or the day after versus other ones that you're willing to ship, which I would only be willing to ship gift cards and really small stuff that's if fits in a size 10 envelope, to be honest with you. But some people are nicer than I am.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Wow, this has all been so informative. I am going to take just a few minutes and tell you all about Memory Fox. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. Okay, can everybody see my Canva presentation here? Okay, great. Yeah. Awesome. So just to start off, just in case you don't know what Memory Fox is, what we like to do is we like to think of ourselves as that solution for when somebody asks you what your mission is, we help you be able to show them. So right now, if somebody asks you that question, do you think you can show someone your mission? And oftentimes we have the best intentions. We know that all of your nonprofits are doing really great work and you do have all those great stories that you want to share, but there's often 3 barriers that really bar nonprofits from being able to share their stories visually. And we found that those are really stopping people from being able to share their stories. So the first one is that collecting content from your community can be like pulling teeth. The second is that organizing content can be frustrating and very time consuming. And the third is that a lot of nonprofits claim that they just need a more efficient and modern way to share their content even after they collect it. So with MemoryFox, we actually created a solution that works with those three exact barriers and addresses all three of them separately. So I'm just going to quickly explain how MemoryFox does that. The very first step when it comes to MemoryFox is the collection portion. And if anybody wants to pull out their phone and scan that QR code, you can actually see from your community standpoint what it would be like to submit a story through MemoryFox. The thing that I love about MemoryFox is that we really help you build a branded campaign and then you send it directly to your community, which means that they get to share their photos, videos, written testimonials where they're most comfortable using the device they're most comfortable on. Instead of having a videographer or a photographer in their face, they get to use their own device, which really helps make the stories more authentic and makes people more willing to share. Some really notable things about the collection process is that there is no download or login required. So there's no barriers for anybody who wants to use it. We also allow for you to capture any contact information that you might need that might be relevant to your stories. And also we manage consent up front. We help you do that, which is super important because I know I've been in a lot of situations where I've wanted to use a photo or a video and I can't find where I got the specific consent that said that I could use it from the person, or I'm not sure exactly who's in the photo and I got to find their consent too. But when you manage consent up front before someone submits something, that really removes all of those stressors for you. And then the last really cool thing about the collection portion is that we offer the option for it to just redirect right back to your website. So it won't come back to MemoryFox. People won't feel confused about like where their content is going. It's just going to show them that it's based on your organization, which means, hey, maybe they'll go make a donation now. Maybe they'll go learn more about your programs. Maybe they'll go read a blog post. So then after people submit their stories, their videos, their photos, their written testimonials, they're going to automatically populate in your MemoryFox story bank. So when you are the storyteller, when you become a MemoryFox storyteller, you have your own story bank where you can have all of your content there and you can tag it by how it would make the most sense for your use later. So a lot of people will tag it by the program that maybe the program participants participated in, maybe by the event that the content was collected from, which department the story is connected with, or also just by use. We have a lot of people that tag things with annual report because they get a great story and they want to remember to put that in their annual report, but they're not going to create it for months. And they want to just make sure that they're going to remember to use that because they do have that story and you don't want to forget where it ended up. Other really great thing about your MemoryFox story bank is we do now allow for a bulk upload option. So maybe you already have a bunch of content and you're like, well, why would I get MemoryFox? Because I already have content and maybe I could use it for just the new content. Well, no, you can actually just upload all of your content and make sure it's all organized together, which is super helpful. And the really big, amazing thing about that is that it's unlimited storage. So you don't have to worry about getting charged more when you reach a limit of content, like I know a lot of other devices do have you do. It's unlimited storage, which is great because we don't want to stop people from telling more stories or collecting more content. You always need more content and we want you to be able to have room for that. And then in terms of sharing, which is the third step to the process, we have a lot of ways that we help make sure that you turn your content into really stunning collateral or social posts or any type of report that you might need. We actually just released last week, we have a video editor in the platform now. You can use our own video, the MemoryFox video editor, to combine or edit. You can rotate, you can do lots of stuff to your videos and put them all together, which is super, super helpful. We're really excited about that new big feature. We also have a story builder, which is a really great way to display several stories. For example, if you are trying to show your board members like a big row of thank you videos from donors, you can create a story page, send that link directly to your board members where they can click through and see all those stories from those donors. You can always have the option to just download the high quality original submission. That's like always something that you can do if you have a different way that you would like to use it. But then finally, another really huge thing that I know that most nonprofits love is that we are integrated with Canva. And if you're not using Canva yet, Canva is free for nonprofits. You can get all the fun features completely free if you are a nonprofit. And really what that means is when somebody uploads a video or a photo to MemoryFox, your MemoryFox campaign, it's going to automatically populate in Canva, as you can see in this GIF. It's really easy to just drag and drop the content into your pre-made design or your pre-made template. So yeah, that was a really quick overview of what we do here at MemoryFox. I will just finally say that we do offer equitable pricing. We do believe that every nonprofit has great stories to tell, and we just really want to empower all of you to be able to have your videos and your photos and your written testimonials that you need to reach all your organization's goals. So if you do want to learn more about MemoryFox, maybe you could connect with one of our expert storytellers. You can do that with that QR code, or you can just go to memoryfox.io/demo.
I love this, Carly. It makes it so easy because whenever I'm doing my demos and I'm talking about Auctria, I'm like, put a video on your website. And people are like, no, I don't want to put a video on my website. We don't have anything. We don't know how to do it. I'm like, this makes it so much easier for them to be able to implement something like that. And if you do it casually, I did a webinar recently about, summer fundraising. And I'm like, if you're not even running a fundraiser over the summer, at least use the summer to update your assets, update your videos, things along those lines. And this
and
is
you know
such
what?
a great
Especially when it comes to events, how many people are taking selfies of them getting ready before the event? Their food that they had at the event, maybe videos of them walking into the event, of everything that they enjoyed. Like, wouldn't it be great if you had a way where people could just upload those right to you in real time?
Absolutely.
Like, then
That'd
you
be a
have
dream
all that
come true.
content. You don't have to ask them later. You don't have to like have somebody email you or text you.
Yes.
And the file's too big, a file's too small. Like, send it to my MemoryFox.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. I personally learned a lot. I'm very excited to have this recording and be able to keep sharing it with people. I guess that's it. Everyone have a really great day. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Carly. I always wish people bids that soar, and I hope they crush their fundraising goals.
I love